Hey everyone, I'm going to answer one of the most asked questions that I get every day, and that's who should I promote on my roster using my Red Star promotion credits. And we're going to get all into that. You guys may have seen the title here. It probably says, don't upgrade anybody again. And we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about what's happening with the state of your roster and the state of the game, and why I think some of these changes should be why you should put a hard pause on who you're upgrading until they stop doing what you need them to do. If you guys are first time catching out the channel, please like and subscribe. I do create a lot of MSF content and some other content, so I hope you guys enjoy what's coming up next. All right, so getting right into it, if you guys look at your roster, you're probably at the point where you're with the most recent set of the chaos theory coming up. You're probably ready to potentially upgrade some gold promotion credits. We just had a little bit of an influx between the Shang-Chi event and some of the other milestones that we may have reached on the account. So you're probably sitting on a few of these and you're wondering, well, who should I click on? Who should I use it on? And so we're going to talk about, I think, some of the unique problems that we're facing. And I realistically want to understand and tell you, have you understand and tell you my philosophy when it comes to upgrading my roster, and why it may be different than what you should be doing. So first things first, everyone has their own individual rate at which they earn these gold promotion credits. Whether you're a Kraken or you're free to play will drastically affect how easily you can use that. Even that being said, a Kraken can't simply get them. The gold promotion credits aren't sold that frequently that you have the ability to upgrade from 6 to 7 on a whim. The largest influx we ever got was from beating Dark Dimension 3, and in some ways we wish Dark Dimension 4 gave us that agency over the roster, although they've introduced a lot more gold promotion credits through events over time. So let's talk about a few things. First things first is this power creep, power leap, power jump, whatever you want to call it, is drastically affecting what you need to get things done. So if we take a look at the Alliance raid, we're going to talk about 1.1, and the current hardest raid in the game, which probably will change relatively soon. The current characters, and I'll show you guys my Secret Avengers, for instance, will give you an indication of what I think I have been able to use my Secret Avengers and not have any difficulty. And I'll give you an indication of where I'm going with this. So you're going to see they're not max stars, they're not max red stars. I haven't put an ISO on them yet, and they're getting the job done. So what happens is, I do want you guys to understand something. The new content will probably tell you and force you, if you're going to start doing that Doom 2.0, which character is relevant to do it. Just like when we did Doom 1.0 the first time, we were hitting it hard. It was obvious that certain characters weren't getting it done for us, and those are characters that we promoted either through gear or whatnot. And so it's important to understand that at low stars, I will use Captain Sam at 3 red 4-star, and he was doing much better than my Red Guardian was. So at 1.1, he was still in the perfect tank for the situation. I've just brought this up for luxury and in PvP environments. And so that's the point, realistically, is you can get away with not maxing these characters as a non-Kraken. However, at some point, you will see that when they start getting 6 and 7 red stars, they become incredibly powerful. So I want you guys to understand that if this new raid shows up and the first iteration of the raid requires a 6 red Sam, you want to have a 6 red Sam in reserve potentially. Hopefully they make him fountainable relatively soon. So the problem we face is when we hit that power barrier where suddenly the characters that we have aren't doing what we need them to do. And so we're going to talk about ways to upgrade characters that are outside of these red star promotions, and something that you may want to do first. And we're going to talk about something that maybe you guys didn't know. They revealed their formula for power calculation not too long ago. When the ISO FAQ came out, if you guys want to look at this, I'll have a link to this in the description of the video. This is basically their health, armor, damage, focus, resist, basically how the stats are calculated. And if you look, red stars and ISO 8 are calculated the exact same way in the formula, which means that if you took a character from ISO green 3 to ISO blue 3, you're getting a 10% boost, which is in many of the red star upgrades, taking them from ISO 1 to ISO blue 3 is essentially 16%. And the idea is you're taking them up what is essentially like a one of the larger increases, the way they did the increments now. So you can get power that's outside of these red stars. So we're getting more silver promotion credits, and I think it's important to reserve a lot of characters to get to 4 and kind of selectively get characters to 5. And again, the most important thing that nobody's going to tell you, I can make you a tier list and tell you who I think is the most important right now, but that snapshot, the window for a character to be good, to be exceptional, is so small right now. That window is closing faster than it ever has in the game. And so what'll happen is your roster will tell you when it is time to upgrade a character, because it'll stop doing what you need it to do. And it's that simple. You go into a raid node and suddenly your Captain Sam dies from after and lives by or lives by a hair, and you know that if there was an untimely crit you would have died. That might be the situation that you're going to promote the character from 5 to 6 or 4 to 5. The value that they grow is exponentially part of the formula, and so you need to understand that the 50 for a 4-star and 150 for a 5-star, you're consuming a lot for potentially luxury. That just means you spend a few extra seconds a day accomplishing content. And so it is probably really hard to understand what's next. And what's next is, and I've said this very, very specific. You can see I've made the 7 red star Gamora upgrade, and it had almost 0 impact on the number of defensive wins I had in Arena. That 7 red star probably impacts my chance to punch up, but on the Infinity Watch team, a Nebula upgrade would probably be more indicative of the number of times I would win with this team, because you're comparing that to a Colleen Wing. So I can take that character on. So this is a character that if you're losing to Heroes for Hire with your Infinity Watch and your Nebula is dying, she may be worth a 4, 5, or 6, but that is a you decision. That's not a me telling you to do it. That would have an impact for you, but I'm not telling you everybody should do it. And I would be remiss to tell you it's a great idea. You can use her in the tech lanes, but we have no idea what this next generation of raids is, and it feels like tech could be something they're bringing to the game down the road soon. So you've got about 6 months from a time a character's released to their peak relevance. They're usually peak relevant from the day that they come out. And some characters, like the legendaries, tend to hold their own a little bit and kind of always are near the top of the category, and sometimes flex out because their kits are usually robust, and they have a lot of ways to enhance other characters and other members of their team. That being said, they don't always need red stars. Kit-based characters, the ones that do things like percent drain, percent health drain for the target, those are characters that don't need red star targets unless you're having trouble with them surviving. And I will tell you, do ISOs instead. So hopefully the idea is, U7.5, you're going to have one raid team. At Doom, you need to have several raid teams. At Doom 1.1, you're going to need to have several powerful raid teams. And at Doom 2, you're going to probably have to promote characters to red stars and make sure they're maxed ISOs to challenge that content and probably feel that push until new, more powerful characters are released. And so we can talk about it. The one thing I show people when I'm having this conversation is literally the requirements from the raids. So we looked at Ultimus and we looked at the Ultimus 7 raid, and you can look at the requirements: 75 gear tier 12 plus, ability 7 plus. Well, there's only 7 abilities in there. Oh, red stars 4 plus, right? And then we can look at the Doom requirements, okay? Squad level 80, 15, ability 7, red star 5+, ISO 8, level 1, 5+. So the idea is you want to reserve these for the next generation of raids coming out, because you want to be able to build the characters that make the most sense. Characters like Kestrel may seem like an easy target, but she was doing, I only got 4 red on her. She was working just as well, letting me do things with the skill nodes that I wasn't able to do. And so I promoted her out of a luxury, but I don't think she impacted my experience enough to justify the 6th and potentially a 7th in there, other than having her sit at the top of my roster and going, behold, my 7 red star Kestrel. She's already winning. Now that may change when the new Doom raid comes out, and that's the point I'm making, is you should always pause, assess where you are in the game, make those decisions based on what you need your roster to do before you go and make an impulse that may cost you progression later on down the line. Hopefully this helped you guys out, these twists and turns that are coming up with this. It will become relevant soon. I think, especially if you miss red stars on a pretty significant team, that may be your ability to do things like raids, maybe what red stars will win grand tournament if the prizes are worth it. These are all things that I want you guys to consider. And we're just kind of in that holding pattern until we see that new Doom raid drop. Remember, I do things so you don't have to, and I'm probably gonna debate whether or not I'm gonna be promoting one of my Infinity Watch to see if it actually has an impact on the war counter. But I'm gonna wait until after we see what happens with RemanX. Stay tuned. Love you guys much. Be kind to each other. Check you soon.